Survival games are quite popular nowadays. From games like Stranded Deep to Don't Starve, they've come full circle and have escalated in popularity. But where did it all begin? Hey Shackers, Greg here, and today I'm going through the top 10 survival horror games that made this genre so popular. Despite the amount of popular survival games that have come out, survival horror was a unique and distinguished genre, and still is today. Now the rules are, the game has to be horror in some way, has to have puzzle and combat elements. So games like Slender Man and Amnesia are more niche horror games, not survival horror. And also only one game per franchise, unless the gameplay or game itself changed dramatically over the course of its sequels. Well, that said, let's hoard our ammo and be prepared to try and survive. These are the top 10 survival horror games. In 1992, the world was introduced, many for the first time, to survival horror, an amazing game that proved to be scary even today with its polygon-heavy graphics. Fixed camera angles with slow methodical movement, freaky enemies, and music put a package together perfectly. The first Resident Evil was clearly heavily inspired by this cult classic. Such a damn shame the game franchise has fallen so far from what it originally was.
Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
Released on the GameCube in 2002, the game was highly praised for its great story, amazing atmosphere, horror survival elements, and terrifying sanity effects that gave me nightmares to this day. Even though the game is now widely known and favored among gamers, it sadly didn't sell well at release. However, it's definitely a staple in the survival horror universe, and if you've never played it, check it out. This is one of my favorite survival horror games, from its dark tones and themes to its combat, but above all, it's the game's amazing atmosphere that really makes it impressive. It's just a terrifying game to play in the dark, especially when you have a shotgun equipped and you're still scared out of your mind. It's a detective story worth playing if you haven't already.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's time. Let's move out.
What about Cooper?
Forget him. Time's up.
Wait! Wait!
It's commonplace to find zombies, insects, and other creatures of the night in survival horror games. However, Dino Crisis is what it sounds like. There are dinosaurs, and you're in crisis. The game was developed by Capcom and shares a lot, I mean a lot, in common with the early Resident Evil games. Of course, improvements were made, like moving camera angles and such, and even though the game didn't quite get the reception it deserved, it was still a pretty damn good game.
Listen to me. We've got to re-establish long-range communications.
You're becoming hysterical.
Get back! I'm warning you!
Tut, tut. This is only sampling.
One of the first official next-gen survival horror titles to be released, it was the alien game a lot of people have been waiting for. Gone were the spray-and-pray pulse rifle alien games of old. This game actually forced you to avoid conflict in order to survive. Sure, the game wasn't perfect, but it was a refreshing take on both survival horror and the Aliens franchise. There were a lot of Silent Hill games made. However, Silent Hill 2 seems to be the one everyone remembers the most. Rather than a direct sequel, the game is a standalone story that follows James Sutherland's journey into the infamous town that is Silent Hill. The game was critically acclaimed and sold over 1 million copies in its first month of release in North America. The game had excellent story, atmosphere, monster designs, and not to mention was absolutely terrifying to play through. I still have nightmares from this game today.
Man, what a mess. What could have done this? What was that? What are these things? All right, that's far enough. Don't move! Don't move. No! What's up with that guy? That was a clean hit.
Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down!
The sequel to the most pivotal survival horror game of all time. Resident Evil 2 broke boundaries and expanded the universe exponentially, opening up an entire city to play through, new plot twists, monsters, and characters.
You must be the new guy. Leon. Sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled.
It was the first game to introduce the now well-known Leon Kennedy, Claire Redfield, and Ada Wong, who would go on to become staples in the Resident Evil universe. New monsters were introduced that made the game more terrifying than ever. The voice work was improved, as well as graphics, making this trip to Raccoon City one to remember.
I was wondering if you might recognize the girl in this photograph?
¿Qué carajo estás haciendo aquí? ¡Lárgate, cabrón!
Sorry to have bothered you.
Freeze! I said freeze!
the first official game in the franchise to branch out its fixed camera angles and completely redesign the combat. One would think that being able to see enemies in the distance would make the game less scary, but it was far from it. From the overcast setting in dreary northern Europe, to castles, rundown villages, and mysterious military islands, Resident Evil 4 was the game the franchise needed to evolve. Leon made his first return since Resident Evil 2, and the bosses and monsters were new and interesting, as well as some that had throwbacks to the original series, like Mr. X. Sure, the Umbrella Corp was nowhere to be found, and the T-Virus wasn't in the story, but it didn't need to be. Resident Evil 4 stood on its own merit, using a few classic characters in a new time and place.
Okay, I have only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
The hell?
I don't know, something's in the room with us.
Jesus! Open fire! Open fire! Scissor power!
Come on. Got it!
Isaac, get the hell out of there!
The doors are locked! Run! Run, Isaac! Get the hell out of there!
New IPs are hard to get off the ground, but Dead Space was a breath of fresh air in the genre. Taking place in a science fiction setting in space, the game borrowed heavily from Resident Evil 4's combat system and style, but did its own thing at the same time. Gone were zombies, and instead we got necromorphs. Forget headshots. Each enemy had to be taken out differently, mainly by blasting off their limbs. Space is a scary place, and if any game can prove it, it's the original Dead Space.
What is this?
Wow, what a mansion!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door!
Jill and I will stay and secure this area.
Chris? Take care.
Yeah.
We all remember the first Resident Evil on the PlayStation. Hell, for many of us, myself included, it was my first introduction to the survival horror genre. Yes, the voice acting was terrible, hilariously terrible.
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right. Barry, thanks for saving my life.
But the gameplay, story, and atmosphere was something I'll remember forever. The remake Capcom released in 2002 was not a mere reskin of the original game that came out 6 years before. It added amazing CGI cutscenes, the mansion and other iconic areas were completely redesigned with the power of the GameCube. The iconic boss battles were still there, the giant snake, shark, and tyrant. But the whole thing was redesigned and created from the ground up to be an improvement over the original success of the first Resident Evil. And it still stands up to this day with the help of the HD re-release in 2015. The first Resident Evil and its remake were the definition of survival horror, despite the franchise quickly falling apart after the fourth installment. This game still holds up well today, and it's one of the best survival horror games ever. What survival horror games did I miss? Which ones did you guys like the best? Let us know in the comments below. For more videos like this and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.
What? What is this?
What is it?
Blood. Jill, see if you can find any other clues. I'll be examining this. Hope this is not Chris's blood.